a few days ago when Jim Acosta got up in the White House and was arguing with President Trump about the migrant caravan, talking about, oh, how can you talk about them this way? They're not really a threat. They're poor and hungry. They're thousands of miles away. They're not here yet. Well, that has changed. These people are here, and they're not quite what Jim Acosta would like for you to believe that they are. And people in Mexico don't like this migrant caravan too much, as you're going to see in this clip. After we get done with the clip, I'll talk about what was there and what was said, and I'll talk about the reality of the migrant caravan and also the reality of the border and why we need to have a wall and tighter border security. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Gente que piense, pero no, señor, estoy en un acontecimiento natural. ¡No es prensa! ¡No es prensa! ¡No es prensa!
Detención en los Estados Unidos que son parecidos a campos de centro.
Váyase a la verga. No se vale que digas eso.
No. Que la paz esté contigo, amigo. Que la paz esté contigo. Bendiciones en tu camino.
¡No los queremos!
Pero es una marcha pacífica.
All right, so you see what's going on. You see what's happening. Now, don't you see why so many of us are against this so-called migrant caravan? It's not racism. Obviously, people in Mexico who are against other Hispanics from a different country coming in. It's not a race thing. It's a matter of, look, the whole purpose of these people coming, according to the mainstream media and according to those that have organized this caravan that's feeding and watering, that's a whole different story. The whole narrative is they're poor, they're hungry, they're seeking refuge. Well, Mexico, we're not talking about a rich country. You got a lot of poor people in Tijuana and all over Mexico. A lot of people that are in very bad situations. A lot of violence going on. It's a drug war happening right now in Tijuana. Thousands of people die all the time, every year. So what are you talking about? How can you say that they deserve some kind of humanitarian aid? They deserve asylum. They deserve refuge in Mexico or passage through Mexico when you got citizens in Mexico that are starving and hungry? It doesn't make any sense at all when they're coming through the country, because let's not forget, this migrant caravan is not necessarily just Mexican. It's probably 80 to 90% coming from other countries, like mostly Honduras, some Guatemala, sprinkled in with a few Mexicans. If you're coming from Honduras, which is beyond the border of Mexico, you got to come through probably El Salvador and also Guatemala before you get to Mexico. Mexico is a pretty big country lengthwise, so you got to go all the way up through that landmass to get to the U.S. border. And to get to Tijuana is even further, because you got to go all the way to the north and to the west. It's far. I mean, think about how far South Padre Island, Texas is away from Baja California. That's not a very close distance. They're coming up that way. They're being fed, they're being housed, they're being clothed. All of that is provided for them on this trek. Meanwhile, Mexican citizens are like, hey, my auntie's out here. She's starving. She doesn't have anywhere to live. She's living in a dangerous neighborhood. What about her? Mexico first. These people that were out there, you could call them Mexican nationalists. There's nothing wrong with that. They live in Mexico. That's their country. They want to see the best for their country. And I think that these legal people should have more of the mindset of these protesters that are out there. Make Honduras great again. Make Nicaragua great again. Make Guatemala great again. Make El Salvador great again. Make Mexico great again. Make all these countries great, rather than trying to impose the will upon other countries for your own personal benefit. This whole narrative about them being starving and hungry is a bunch of BS. I'm seeing all kind of people out there, looking well-dressed, well-groomed. I'm seeing some drag queens out there. I don't got nothing wrong with you being gay or whatever. I don't care nothing about that. That's your business. But I'm saying if you're so starving and hungry, then how do you find time to get your hair and makeup done as a male? You got on heels, you got on stockings, you got on a dress, but I'm to believe that you're starving and hungry. You, sir, look better than some of these drag queens I see on the street corner at night. Just keeping it 1,000. And you shouldn't look like that if you're coming over this big thousands upon thousands of miles journey starving and hungry. And if you're so starving and hungry and you are in an unsafe place, why don't you go to the first place where it's safety at? You don't have to come thousands of miles. If you interview these people, they'll mostly say, I come for work. And a lot of them are coming to gang bang and do some other stuff because let's not get it twisted. If you have thousands of people, it's easy to put human traffickers in there, narco people in there, gun runners in there. It's easy. The cartels can just blend right in to the population and you would never know it. They're not going to dress in a way that's conspicuous. They'll dress in an unconspicuous way. You won't know that they're there. They just blend into the crowd, and that's how they get in. It's like a Trojan horse type situation. So I don't care about nobody trying to tell me, oh, this is inhumane. Look, that's not my problem. Honduras' problem. That's not my problem. You have to go back. All right. We have enough problems here in the U.S. to deal with first before we can try to extend our hand to other nations and be like, okay, we can just help you. We can just have 10,000 people coming to the country, give them food, give them water, give them clothing, give them shelter. I go outside of where I live right now, and you'll see people that are homeless. Go down a little bit, go down downtown, you're going to see homeless encampments or people that have been living here their whole life, that were born here, that are actual citizens. They should get priority over people that are coming here through the border trying to bombard the system, trying to overwhelm it so they can come in illegally, or so they'll kind of force their way into a kind of amnesty situation. I don't want that. Shout out to Mexico. Shout out to all the people that are out there who don't want that. Mexico first if you're Mexican, American first if you're American, Canada first if you're Canadian. That's how it's supposed to be. Not all these countries that just bend to the will of whoever wants them to bend. I don't care if you're hungry. Look, we have our own issues here. Veterans on the street. You got women, children on the street. And shout out to these lamestream media networks. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I was watching NBC, and then I'm seeing on the screen they're showing some of the Migrant Caravan, and I guess they're in some kind of camp waiting to go to San Diego or whatever. You got one woman and the baby, and they're trying to paint that as the face of the whole caravan. Meanwhile, the whole thing is 90 to 95% men between the ages of probably 18 and 40. It probably younger than that, probably 18 and 30. Working age, war age, fighting age men that are coming to either make money, gangbang, or both. I don't care about the story that's been made up. I say build a wall, send them back. Each country look out for the best interest of itself. If you want to have friendly relations, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying be an isolationist. At the same time, I'm not advocating for people to be taken advantage of our country, as has been the case over the past few years. So what do you think? Do you think the protesters in Mexico have a point that Mexico should come first? They have their own starving, hungry, need to take care of. They have their own issues with crime, violence, homicide, all that. Shouldn't that be taken care of first? Shouldn't that be the first thing to address rather than trying to give humanitarian aid and cash that they don't have to people that come from other countries that are there illegally? Because let's not get it twisted. If you have people that are being denied entry into the U.S. that are in Tijuana, that means they're going to be there in Tijuana until they can get into the U.S. Meanwhile, they got to eat, they got to sleep, they got to be able to have some kind of safe place to be, to cover their head. Who's going to provide that? We're not going to provide that. So that puts it on Mexico. That's an undue strain on the people of Mexico, and I feel for you guys. So shout out to you all who are out there protesting. But do you think I'm wrong? Do you think that we should just accept any old body who says that they are somehow afflicted with some type of bad situation that comes from their country of origin? Now, if that is the case, then our doors should be open to every nation on earth. And the reality is that these people don't even really fall into that category, because if they did, then there would be no need for this long march. But if you agree, disagree, whatever the case may be, please let me know in the comments below.